Hello, dear students. The only thing which I like is that all my students should always smile. And for that, we have introduced a very short overview of the entire chapter. But that's not all. We will give you study notes, comprehensive, detailed analysis of the chapters as per the ICSE curriculum. Yes, there would be mock test. We will cover everything. And yes, when you fall in love, the learning becomes magical. We definitely know how to create the magic and just get ready for the magic. I love you all. Bajrang Kumar Garg, founder, Gen Z EdTech. Keep smiling.
Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into a really critical couple of years that completely changed the game for India's struggle for freedom. It's an incredible story of defiance, of brilliant strategy, and a powerful demand for nothing less than total independence. So let's get into it. Our story really kicks off right here, back in 1928. Just look at this image. You can feel the tension, right? This was a protest against something called the Simon Commission, and it sparked a movement across the entire country. And believe me, this was not just another demonstration. This was the moment an entire nation found its voice. And that voice? Well, it boiled down to three very simple, very powerful words. That's it. Simon, go back. This chant just echoed through cities and towns all across India. It united millions of people against what they saw as a massive injustice. So what was the big deal? What was everyone so angry about?
Well, this nationwide outrage all started with an official group sent over from London, the Simon Commission. But instead of being seen as, a step forward, it was seen as a huge, deliberate insult.
So why all the anger? Well, imagine a committee shows up to decide your future, but doesn't include a single person from your community. That's exactly what happened here. The Simon Commission had 7 members, and every single one of them was British. Not one Indian was included to help shape India's own constitutional future. You can see why that felt like such a slap in the face. The Indian National Congress immediately called for a complete boycott.
The response from the British authorities was, well, it was swift and it was brutal. The police used force, using these heavy batons in what were called lathi charges against the protesters. So yeah, this wasn't some peaceful debate, things got violent, and that violence, well, that turned out to be a major turning point.
You see, the anger from those Simon Commission protests, it didn't just go away. No, it was like a spark that ignited a much bigger fire. It pushed the leaders of the independence movement to stop asking for small changes and start demanding complete control.
And this timeline, it just shows you how incredibly fast things started moving. In 1928, you've got protests. Just 1 year later, in December of 1929, the Indian National Congress meets in Lahore and makes a game-changing decision. Then, on New Year's Eve, Jawaharlal Nehru raises the new tricolor flag of India. And a few weeks later, on January 26, 1930, the whole nation is called to observe Purna Swaraj Day.
So what is Purna Swaraj? It's a Sanskrit term, and it means complete independence. And you've got to understand, this was a huge shift. The goal was no longer about getting a little more self-rule inside the British Empire. The new goal was clear. It was unambiguous. Total freedom from the British Empire.
So the meeting in Lahore didn't just set a goal. It laid out a clear 3-part strategy. First, officially demand Purna Swaraj. Second, pull out of the system entirely by boycotting all legislatures and elections. And third, get ready to launch a massive nationwide civil disobedience movement.
Now, this new strategy, it wasn't about picking up guns or armed rebellion. No, it was something way more clever. It was about nonviolent mass defiance. The plan was to make the country completely ungovernable for the British. It was an incredibly bold and audacious plan.
And the plan itself was incredibly detailed. It was designed to hit the very pillars of British rule. It started with breaking the salt law, then refusing to pay taxes, boycotting every colonial institution you can think of, schools, offices, courts, boycotting foreign goods. You see, every single step was a calculated move designed to weaken the empire's grip on the country.
That first step, violating the salt law, was chosen for a very specific reason. And it kicked off with an event that, honestly, the whole world ended up watching. The Salt March.
Okay, so why salt? Of all things, why salt? Well, it was absolutely genius. The British government had a total monopoly on making and selling salt, and they taxed it like crazy. Now, salt was something that every single person in India needed, whether you were rich or poor. So by taxing it, the British were essentially taxing life itself. It was the perfect symbol of oppression.
And so, on March 12, 1930, it all began. Mahatma Gandhi set out from his ashram with just 78 followers. I mean, think about that. Fewer than 100 people setting off on this seemingly impossible journey to challenge the most powerful empire on Earth.
And their destination? The coastal village of Dandi, which was almost 400 kilometers away. That is a massive distance to cover, all of it on foot. This was more than just a political act. This was an epic test of endurance and commitment, and it absolutely captured the imagination of the entire nation.
And this is that iconic image of the march. There's Gandhi leading this growing crowd, just walking, day after day. And as they walked, thousands more people joined them. This tiny procession turned into a massive river of humanity, all flowing toward the sea.
When they finally made it to Dandi, Gandhi walked down to the shore and did something incredibly simple, but incredibly powerful. He just bent down and picked up a lump of natural salt-rich mud. And with that, he had broken the British salt law. That single, quiet act of defiance, it was the signal everyone had been waiting for.
The effect was absolutely electric. All across the country, people started making and selling their own salt, openly defying the law. The civil disobedience movement had officially begun. That small march of just 78 people had successfully sparked a nationwide rebellion, all without firing a single shot. And that brings us to a final thought. From a commission that shut them out to a simple grain of salt that brought them all together, the people of India showed the world how a symbolic act, a simple march, a handful of salt can carry enough moral force to challenge an entire empire. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is it that truly gives a symbolic act the power to shake an empire to its very core?